Greetings everyone, it's IT2. I need to come up with a new beginning to my videos. I'm tired of saying greetings everyone, it's IT2. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about podcasts and books. And if you like when I recommend things, this is going to be one of your videos, because I'm going to recommend you some podcasts and I'm going to show you. Well, I've updated my Goodreads profile, so if you have a Goodreads account for friends on there, you can see I've updated my shelves. And I actually updated my real life bookshelves. I took some pictures. I'm going to show you some of those. But I was just watching this podcast with Grimes. Remember that video I did with that gay guy who got all freaked out about that Shinigami Eyes video? Oh my god. Grimes, Elon Musk's wife, was on Lex Friedman's podcast. And I'm just like halfway through it, but it's like so interesting. I wanted to talk about some of the things. Like, they want to talk about her music for like a little bit, and then she starts talking about like futurism and technology, consciousness, and they were talking about how like if you make art, it's like the only thing that survives a culture. Like, look at the Egyptians. We don't know anything about like how many shields they were making to go to war, how many barrels of grain went over here, and all that kind of data and stuff that we use like in the present time to like get through our day-to-day lives. None of that survives. It's all about the art is the only thing that survives that we have of their culture. Their writings and the hieroglyphics and the pyramids and architecture and all this stuff is considered art. And she was talking about like motherhood, like consciousness is kind of like you're born, and then it's like 1 to 3 years later your consciousness emerges. So it's like the birth of consciousness doesn't happen at the same time as when you're born. And like we should be focusing on education more. And like she was talking about Totoro, the anime that's like accessible to adults and children. And that really got me thinking about, like, I've been having this idea lately that I wanted to do, because if you look at all these teachers that are like talking about gay shit in school now, they're trying to like push their agenda on kids, and kids aren't being taught anything. Like, I remember when I was in school, like, you would go through the whole day and not really learn anything. You'd maybe spend... It's like when you go to work. It's like the Office Space quote. Like, I only do 15 minutes of real, actual work in an 8-hour day. An 8-hour day of school is like the same thing. Like, there's so much time you spend, like, socializing and going out on the playground and, like, watching things on the TV and, like, messing around with computers. It's like nobody's actually just sitting and saying, here's the stuff you fucking need to know as an adult to get through life. And like, if you don't read books on your own and try to figure stuff out on your own, you pretty much, like, especially in the South, you're not getting an education. And I want to live in a society where everybody is more educated. That way we can have richer conversations and relationships and everything else. It all stems from education. I mean, I guess there's kind of an advantage to having a dumb society, because most of the people you need to run society are just like the laborers and the drones and the beehive. You know, it's like maybe that's why they don't care so much. It's like they know the ones that are really going to end up being successful and smart are going to do the work on their own. But if you think about, like, how would you do that? Would you have like everything on like internet videos where the kids would just, you can't just sit home all the time and just, like, if you go to a job and they train you on your job, they have like my job, you have to like watch these videos and then make sure you've spent like a certain amount of time watching it, and then you can do a test at the end to make sure you absorb the information in it. But if that's all education was, if I like made a video about, I want to do like a lesson on science today, and here's a geology lesson, or here's like a lesson about stars or whatever, and if you had like a way to prove that somebody watched it all and they did like a test or something that proved that they absorbed it, that's not really enough, because you have to have social skills. So what if you had... Also, I mean, and it's good to like not have kids all in one place, because then you have school shooters that make it's like a soft target. If you want to like avoid mass homicide, which apparently is a thing we got to worry about now, it's probably good to have kids homeschooled, or like maybe in smaller pods that are like rooms that are closed off. I mean, if you had like a rating system, like here's where the technology is working to where, like, if you have apps and things that you can rate things like Uber and everything else, like you can rate things like 4 or 5 stars, or like if you had like So you're in a school with like 60 kids, right? And you get bullied by a kid, and you say like 1 star, or like you flag him as like, I want to block this person in real life, and he's blocked, and like you can't interact with him anymore. He gets like put in another pod, and everybody keeps doing that. It's kind of like you've exiled this problem child to where I'm sure people would abuse the system, but it'd be so sick. Like, if a guy has a problem in real life, you just vote him out, and he's like exiled. He gets expelled from school because nobody fucking likes his ass, and he has to change or suffer the consequences. I mean, that's a crazy idea, but it's so awesome to think about. It's like harsh, but it's like, maybe that's how fucking shit ought to work. That would be sick. But anyway, yeah, it goes back to my whole video about making the skill tree for real life, my Boy Scout idea. If you haven't seen the Power Level of the World video I made, I still really want to do that. I still think it's a good idea, but it's like, this is kind of more adding on to how it could take shape and like how things maybe could work. I mean, if I was Grimes and I had my husband was the richest man on the earth, I could make this shit happen. I don't know, maybe she'll do something if she's got good ideas. But they were also talking about this book. Let me go over here. This guy Ian Banks, I've never heard of him. He's a sci-fi author, I guess. And he wrote all these books called The Culture and Player of Games. Apparently, that's one of her songs. That's actually the song for when I score a goal in Rocket League right now. She stole the name of that because you can't copyright the name of books. So the name of her song is Player of Games. And that's the one the host, whatever, Lex Friedman said he'd read that one. And she was talking about this one, Surface Detail. And these books, she said it's about like, there's these AIs that are like, there's utopian societies like unachievable because you can't really get to perfection, but protopian is like you're as close as you can get to it. And they're relatively in peace. Like the AI supercomputer intelligences run these big ships that transport people back and forth. They can like upload your consciousness and stuff. And there's like this woman that died and didn't know that she had her consciousness uploaded, so she was like reborn, kind of like in a video game. You get a second life. You choose a new body to spawn in with and stuff. It sounds pretty dope. And like, there's kind of wars, but it's not really, I guess, like there's not a lot of violence. So like if they had to settle a dispute, like there's these hells, right? She says there's like virtual reality, I guess, virtual hells. So like if you get judged like as a bad person, you get sent to a virtual hell. It's kind of like being in prison. And certain factions of society think it's wrong and they shouldn't have it, and some think it's good because it prevents crime. So these two factions are warring with each other. So instead of going to actual physical war, they have like a virtual, like a giant Fortnite game of like a video game war, and whoever wins gets to decide the outcome. That seems pretty dope. That's probably where we're going to head. Because if you watch like those old 80s giant robot movies, that's how they would do. Like instead of having hundreds and thousands go to war and die, they would have one guy in a giant robot fight another guy in a giant robot from the other country, and whoever wins the war. I mean, that's pretty sick. While I'm on this Goodreads page, let's just look at my books real quick. I think I'm on Facebook with this. Thought I was signed in, my bad. Technical difficulties, and is that how I sign in? There we go. Yeah, here's my currently reading books. I'm on Harlan Coben Runaway right now. I haven't really started it, but that's what I'm going to read. And Bitcoin Billionaires is my current toilet book. So those are my 2 books that I'm reading right now. And here's my want to reads. I've got like 193 books I want to read. 257 books that I've read that I can remember. There's probably some older. I know I've read like a lot of old shit when I was a kid, like Nancy Drew, Encyclopedia Brown, the Judy Blume books, and stupid shit like that. I don't really count those. I mean, I sold like 9 like Walmart bags full of books for like $20 before I left Lexington. And then I sold like another bunch of books, 4 or 5 boxes. So I like gave away a lot of my books. Like I was looking through my Orson Scott cards, I'm like missing half of them. All my Anne Rice's and stuff, man. Anyway, here's the books that I've read. I've got those all added in here. I added a bunch of stuff that I kind of forgot about. And just look at all this. It's like, how fucking smart must I be? And I'm not even like high on this website. There's people that are like, somebody had a 300 book yearly goal. It's like a book, almost a book every 2 days or less than. For a whole year. I mean, you gotta have a lot of free time to read that many books. Then want to read. Yeah, there's just like a lot of these are just in the series that I've been reading on. Is any of these interesting? There's a bunch of Dean Koontzes. Oh yeah, here's the James Corey series I still need to finish. New Stephen King, Firestarter. There's those John Meacham books I was talking about just recently. Thomas Harris wrote all those Hannibal Lecter books. I think those would be good. Some of them it's like Brian Jacques. He wrote Redwall. He's got this. That's about like animals. And I read one of them. I didn't really like it, but I think this gonna be good. The Flying Dutchman series about this shipwrecked people. I need to add Robinson Crusoe and what was that other one? Treasure Island. I need to add those to my books I want to read too. Classics. Note to self. Here's those Malcolm Gladwell's. Douglas Adams I need to read. I've never read any Douglas Adams for some reason. How is that even possible, you ask? I don't know. This guy here, Walter John Williams, Great Empire's Fall. I think these look really interesting. It's like a space opera type thing, so I figure it's kind of like The Expanse. What else we got here? I got all the see, a lot of them is like a series. I don't know if it's going to be good, like the True Blood. I'll just put like the first one and the first one of this because I haven't read it yet. There's a George R.R. Martin sci-fi book. That might be cool. Ursula K. Le Guin. She wrote all the Earthseas. I read like a short story she wrote that was good. Catching Fire. I read that. I need to change that to read. Finished. What is it? Fantasy? Popular fiction? Sci-fi? Okay. I guess it just didn't update right. Yeah, here's like Joseph Heller, who wrote Catch-22. He actually wrote like a bunch of books I didn't realize. I've got these two. And I got these two. And I got this one. These are the ones I'm going to be showing you guys later in my next book update. I got these two. Michael Lewis. I'm just really psyched about books right now. If this is boring to you guys, I don't know what to tell you. But I need to read as much as I can while I'm in the mood to read, I think. If you like mysteries, this P.J. Tracy series is pretty good. And then Brandon Sanderson I'm kind of on the fence about. Jeffrey Deaver I'm interested in. And then some biographies like, and Ayn Rand. Need to read those. Michael Crichton. Andromeda Strain, because I don't know if I'd like Jurassic Park. See if I get into some Michael Crichton. There's a Felicia Day book I didn't know existed. 12 Years a Slave. There's a book about Jeff Bezos. A book about Anthony Bourdain. Salvage Title, another sci-fi series I think could be good. So like these are all my books that I've read and that I want to read. I got them all organized now. Pretty dope. And then I've also got categories. Like here's the fantasy ones that I finished. And if you want to just like look at just the fantasy ones, here's the Harry Potters. There's the Ravenlances, George R. R. Martin. Here's all the science fiction ones organized. Pretty proud of this collection. Oh yeah. It seems like there's not a lot of science fiction. I feel like I've read way more than this. Anyway. Let's get back to the podcast. So I want to recommend you some podcasts. I've already talked about the Louis C.K. Presidents, the 4-part. This is on Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. And there's one thing I've noticed. I've been watching a lot of these Shane Gillis's. I told you, but I got into him. I watched I don't know, 7 or 8 podcasts that he was on. And like some people, they all want to talk about like being a comedian, working in the industry. What's that like? What was it like getting hired on Saturday Night Live and then canceled within like 3 days and then losing it all? That's the big thing with him. Like, everybody wants to talk about the same shit. The best podcasts are the ones that have a guest on and they just let them be themselves and just want to talk about, like, what are you interested in? What do you like to talk about? What's it like to just hang out with this person? That's why that one with Grimes is so good. She said, like, most people just want to ask me, like, what my process is. And, like, I don't like that. It's so dope. Like, you let her run wild. She's, like, looking shit up on her phone. It's like, oh, here's a quote by this person. I want to give them the right credit. Like, who was this that said this? What's that book? Let me look it up. And it's so interesting when people, like, actually are interested in stuff. And it's not just, like, blabbing about stuff just to blab about it. And if you've noticed, the first part of this podcast is they're in a different room. This is Louis C.K.'s house. And he's got his 2 Emmys and his Grammy on display. They're in a different place in the other video where they're on a different shelf. What was the first part of it? President's Part 1? I think President's Part 3, maybe. Oh, that's the same one. Part 2. President's Part 1. I just thought it was weird. Yeah, here's this room here. He's got him on this shelf. So, he's supposed to live in the East Village in New York, right? Is there trees in the East Village? Or does he have like a second home somewhere? That's also interesting to me. And this right here, this little audio interface. Like, now I'm into audio interfaces and mics. I like to look at weird shit. Once I get my stuff set up, I'm going to have a different background than this here. Whatever you're looking at, my Rubik's Cubes and my curtains. I want to have like a bookshelf back there, but I don't really want to move my bookshelf either. So I want to do something to have something interesting to look at if I do a video podcast anyway. Anywho, yeah. So having guests on and talking about interesting things like this, the whole podcast is just about presidents and shit. So having like a special thing that you talk about is good. This one also, the Flagrant podcast with Schultz and Singh, where he's talking about. See, this is another. They're not talking about industry shit. They're asking him like, he's talking about when he used to be a coach of a Special Olympics team, and talking about his Down syndrome boys. Have the boys out, and they had like these Hooters people there, and they all wanted like. They all start like getting boners and wanting to compete hard, and they all like line up to hug her, and he like act like he's retarded and gets in line. It's so funny. So that kind of shit is just hilarious. You gotta watch that. There's also the regular Flagrant podcast, Flagrant 2 and Flagrant. I'm not sure what the difference is, but this is the one where they had Louis C.K. and Joe List on talking about promoting their movie. And this one he's just like, for some reason he's like, could you be gay? And Louis like, I'm gonna need more words for you to like, what are you asking me? Could you be gay? He's like, if what? Like, under what circumstances are you talking about? Like, it didn't make any sense. And then he's like, 9/11 shouldn't have happened, but as far as what it was a bullseye. They did a good job at being terrorists. I mean, there's some funny fucking moments in this. So definitely watch this. And here's one. Are you garbage? See, this is a good idea for a podcast. Because it's about a specific topic. They're asking their guests, like, do you do certain things that would make you like white trash or like a garbage person? Like Ari Shaffir, he's always said things like, what is it, like the Jews are the garbage people, the whites or Italians? No. Persians. I forgot what he said. He says they're like the garbage whites, or like When he was talking to like Bobby Lee or something, he'd say, you know, Koreans are the garbage people of the Asians, or whatever. He would like make fun of them. But they have some weird questions that they ask you on here about like stupid things that like rednecks or like low class people do, and they've got the set that's got a lot of like garbage shit behind them, like certain type, like sour cream and onion Pringles. Maybe is that a thing? I don't even know like what all this kind of stuff means. But anyway, it's fucking funny as hell. And Ari Shaffir, he's been doing podcasts so long that like he just starts doing their promotion for him. He's like, and they start talking about Patreon. He's like, yeah, go to patreon.com/RUGarbage. Give them their questions. And like when I started out listening to podcasts, it was probably Ari and Joe Rogan was the main things. And then branched off into like the two Tom Segura podcasts, one with his wife, one for Kreischer, and then it just kind of spiraled into like all these comedians started doing like Tiger Belly, and Chris D'Elia had a podcast until his like Me Too thing, and then kind of you haven't seen him around for a while, or maybe they just stopped, the algorithm stopped recommending it. I'd look into that. Andrew Santino, Mark Norman, all these guys, Bill Burr, they all have podcasts. And then I got into Harmontown, and I'm like, now, I thought it was really interesting. I've been listening to Harmontown at work, and like I just got to the part where I'm so many years behind. It's like 2015 in the podcast, and they're just like, it looks like Trump's actually going to be in this debate. Wait, Trump's going to be on the ticket? And like, wait, Trump's elected? Trump's the president? It's like so funny to like listen to that in 2022, like people reacting to Trump getting elected. That like that's the thing about podcasts, they're all archived and you can listen to them whenever you want. Even though I'm like 7 years behind, I think they actually stopped in like 2018, so I think I'm getting pretty close to having all the Harmontowns listened to. This one also I highly recommend. Rick Glassman, Take Your Shoes Off is the name of the podcast, and he has guests over to his apartment and he has them take their shoes off, and it's just really, this is a visual podcast more than I can just listen to it, because he has like all these effects. Anytime they say somebody's name, he'll bring up like thumbnails, or he'll bring up their Instagram, and he'll have it pop in and fly out, and he'll have like fart sounds or like fart noise or like animated poops and like little goblins running around doing stuff, and it's like hilarious. So Ben Schwartz, I just recently watched him on Middle Ditch and Schwartz in long form improv comedy thing. Like if you've ever seen that, it's kind of cringy, improv is, but they do it pretty good, so it's like the best you can expect of that. Also check out the what's it called, The Rehearsal, that new Nathan Fielder show, and check his old show out if you haven't seen that. Nathan Fielder is fucking weird, and he's actually like in real life he's pretty much like his character is. He does like the weirdest shit. Like he's like, I'm gonna prepare this guy to tell his friend that he goes to like bar quizzes with. He's told him that he has a master's degree and he doesn't. He's like, he wants to reveal this to his friend. He's nervous about it. So Nathan Fielder recreates the entire fucking bar. Like makes a fake bar that is identical to the one he's going to be telling this person about. Asks him, like, he like feeds him all of the information that's going to be on the quiz, the bar quiz that night, so that he has the confidence that he feels like he's smart, unbeknownst to the guy that's going to be rehearsing it. And then he like, plus this guy is fucking stupid looking in the first place. He's got this little tuft of hair in the front that sticks up, this black guy. He's like going to tell his friend he does have a master's degree. Like he does so much shit for the dumbest fucking payoff. It's like hardly anything. Then he has that whole bar like moved into a warehouse because he didn't want to destroy it. And he brings it up in his later episodes. Like he's hanging out in this bar. He just has a bar now that he can't do anything with. It's so fucking random and weird. It's like that one where he was like, he had a robot built. He was going to pull his pants down in front of some children so he would be a pedophile if he didn't like get out of his handcuffs because it was like a magic trick. He comes up with the most random shit. Oh my god. But anyway, Rick Glassman, definitely check this out. And my favorite, I actually liked before, the older episodes, he had this different apartment. And this was like during COVID. This is Kalila Kuhn, Bobby Lee's, I guess, ex-girlfriend, because they just broke up. So he's having her sit out on the back porch through a glass window talking to her. And like, she's talking about like wanting to change her shirt. So he's like, just do this, and I'll change. He'll edit it in post so that her shirt's different. And it's just hilarious. I've only seen like 2 or 3 of his podcasts, but I love it. So yeah, check this out. Especially check this episode out, actually. It's funny. Oh, so now let's show you my bookshelves. Yeah, so this is my bookshelf that's in my living room. That looks like it says Crap City. I didn't realize that. I've got my comic book card album and my baseball card album up there. But this is, whole shelf is stuff that I haven't read yet, that I plan to read. So I got my Kuntz collection, Mario Puzo, Steve Martini, Bentley Little. There's that one Scalzi book. And I got some Orson Scott Card and Grisham down here. Dan Brown, Lost Symbol. These are my high school yearbooks. There's some like coffee table books. And then there's a bunch of just random shit I got from this big box of books that they gave me at work that somebody was giving away. And a Clive Cussler that I bought. And there's that James Corey that I haven't read yet. And then you got a few books up here. And then this little bookshelf is like right behind this monitor. This is stuff like, here's my John Ringo collection. Here's all my Robert Hylands, Chuck Palahniuk's, Ernest Cline, Leviathan Wakes is there. Somebody needs to make an app where you can like put all the books you've read in like a bookshelf like a spine. Somebody did like a mock-up of one, but they didn't make an actual app. The rest of this is like Scalzi, some like Christianity kind of books, Orcs and Dwarves, a bunch of like comic book, sci-fi, random shit that I got off a guy on Facebook. I've got like 2 versions of The Hobbit that I haven't even read. There's the Witcher book, Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. Bunch of more crap. And then there's those Kuntzes and like the Vampire Lestat. That's the only Anne Rice book I kept when I sold them all, I think. Except the Mayfair Witches. I've got those in hardcover. Oh, yeah. Check this out. Did I show you guys? I got these little puck lights. I got them installed. Yeah, there's my Mayfair Witches right there. So I got Harry Potter and Stephen King. This is my whole Stephen King Harry Potter collection. The bottom here is a bunch of kind of random shit. Da Vinci Code, Diablo Archive. I got this is a giant Bible that's got like 4 versions of the Bible on every page, just like you see the King James, you see the New American Standard, and all this other shit. This is when I was planning on going around and being like an atheist speaker. I don't know why I thought I was going to end up doing that. I got Mycelium Running, the book by Paul Stamets about mushrooms stuff. It's really good. There's some like textbooks that I found in the trash from my old apartment. Let's see. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And then here we've got the Game of Thrones with a little deer in front of them. Here's my Diablo 3 box. It's like separating Revenge, Lowell, the Wool books. If you haven't read those, check those out. There's the Larry Correas and the Jim Butchers. And you got some Orson Scott Card up here. So everything's nice and organized. I like it. So that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I think this was a fun one.